Tweets for live reactions, updates, and breaking news. Yes, when the final whistle is blown, everything changes. The winner takes it all. The debate ignites. The blame game begins. And suddenly, the missing drawing board is found. This is where the real game starts. Welcome to Augustine's Final Whistle, your premier YouTube sports show where passion meets perspective and every result is dissected without mercy. From tactical breakdowns to heated debates, from expert insights to unfiltered reactions, this is football conversation at its most exciting and most honest. So when the match ends, don't switch off, tune in. Catch the electrifying, entertaining discourse on Augustine's Final Whistle, right after the final whistle is blown. Because the game doesn't end, it evolves. So see us on the streets for live reactions, updates, and breaking news. Yes, when the final whistle is blown, everything changes. The winner takes it all. The debate ignites. The blame game begins. And suddenly, the missing drawing board is found. This is where the real game starts. Welcome to Augustine's Final Whistle, your premier YouTube sports show where passion meets perspective and every result is dissected without mercy. From tactical breakdowns to heated debates, from expert insights to unfiltered reactions, this is football conversation at its most exciting and most honest. So when the match ends, don't switch off, tune in. Catch the electrifying, entertaining discourse on Augustine's Final Whistle, right after the final whistle is blown. Because the game doesn't end, it evolves. So see us on the streets for live reactions, updates, and breaking news. Yes, when the final whistle is blown, everything changes. The winner takes it all. The debate ignites. The blame game begins. And suddenly, the missing drawing board is found. This is where the real game starts. Welcome to Augustine's Final Whistle, your premier YouTube sports show where passion meets perspective and every result is dissected without mercy. From tactical breakdowns to heated debates, from expert insights to unfiltered reactions, this is football conversation at its most exciting and most honest. So when the match ends, don't switch off, tune in. Catch the electrifying, entertaining discourse on Augustine's Final Whistle, right after the final whistle is blown. Because the game doesn't end, it evolves. So see us on the streets for live reactions, updates, and breaking news. Yes, when the final whistle is blown, everything changes. The winner takes it all. The debate ignites. The blame game begins. And suddenly, the missing drawing board is found. This is where the real game starts. Welcome to Augustine's Final Whistle, your premier YouTube sports show where passion meets perspective and every result is dissected without mercy. From tactical breakdowns to heated debates, from expert insights to unfiltered reactions, this is football conversation at its most exciting and most honest. So when the match ends, don't switch off, tune in. Catch the electrifying, entertaining discourse. Is blown, everything changes. The winner takes it all. the debate ignites, the blame game begins, and suddenly, the missing drawing board is found. This is where the real game starts. Welcome to Augustine's Final Whistle, your premier YouTube sports show where passion meets perspective and every result is dissected without mercy. From tactical breakdowns to heated debates, from expert insights to unfiltered reactions, this is football conversation at its most exciting and most honest. So when the match ends, don't switch off, tune in. Catch the electrifying, entertaining discourse on Augustine's Final Whistle, right after the final whistle is blown. Because the game doesn't end, it evolves. So see us on the streets for live reactions, updates, and breaking news. Yes, when the final whistle is blown, everything changes. The winner takes.
Hello. Good day, good evening, good morning. Thank you for joining us on Augustine's Final Whistle from wherever you're watching us. And thank you very much for joining us tonight. Today is Monday, the 22nd of June, 2026. And once again, we are very, very grateful that you are joining us wherever you're watching us from. And like I always say, the platform is indeed dedicated to sports, football or soccer, to be specific. But also we discuss various issues affecting sports disciplines. These issues cut across social issues that impact our communities and sporting institutions. Thank you very much. It's a great day to have you. We haven't been here in a few days. I mean, the World Cup is on. The excitement is driving high. The games are electric, exciting. I mean, fantastic to watch some of the finest football in the world. And obviously, you don't want to miss on that opportunity. And we also want to make sure that we are following events day to day and day in and day out. So again, we make the broadcast as brief as we possibly can. As I possibly can, I'll make the broadcast very, very brief so that we can proceed to watch the match. I mean, Argentina, the defending champions, are in action today here in Dallas, and they're playing Austria right in the next 40, 50 minutes or so. They should be getting onto the pitch and kicking off that match, going by their first performance in the opening game against Algeria, which they won 3-0. It's expected that obviously today, this afternoon, they will be proceeding, and this evening elsewhere, they'll be proceeding into the round of 32 after defeating Austria. Most likely, we will expect another explosive performance from Lionel Messi. And we're looking forward to that fixture. We've seen some of the most exciting fixtures from our African compatriots. Ivory Coast were disappointing the other day. They gave away a lead, wasted numerous chances against Germany, and conceded, a last-minute goal to lose 2-1. That was a disappointing result for the Ivorians and African football followers. So, it was a game they could have easily won against one of the toughest opponents you can get at the World Cup. Of course, Germany is not at its best, but I think Ivory Coast had an edge in that game had they utilized their chances. So we're looking forward. England had a fantastic game against Croatia, one of the best games I've watched so far. I mean, we've seen Cape Verde here also putting up a splendid performance. They were in action against Uruguay last night, and they put up a very, very strong performance to draw 2-2. The first game, they also held 2010 champions Spain to a goalless draw. Fantastic result for them. They're almost, going to be confirmed as round of 32 participants. So we look forward to again some great performance from our African envoys. Ghana have also been in good form. They are playing England in the next match. They did win against Panama. They beat Panama 1-0, a good result. Egypt last night, this morning, also came out with a very strong performance, picking up a 3-1 win. That was a great result too from the Egyptians. They defeated New Zealand 3-1, and we do also have Senegal taking to the pitch tonight against Norway. Senegal had a rough start against France. They lost that game, and now we'll have to win. There are issues around the Senegalese camp, issues to do with motivation, the coaches not having a contract. The players needed a dedicated chef. They didn't get one. I think there are some issues around that. And just like in Tunisia, the Tunisians are also not too happy that after a very good qualifying series, their team was somewhat changed, and they had a new team, a new coach. They came to the tournament baptized, in the first match. Again, they changed the coach midway through the tournament, brought in Hevrena. Hevrena, of course, he did mention he was not a magician. And indeed, the Japanese were in explosive form. They beat, becoming the first Asian team to score 4 goals in a World Cup. So they beat Tunisia 4-0, and Tunisia is eliminated. Senegal would want to avoid elimination today. They were favorites coming into from Africa. They were favorites to proceed, to the round of 32, including Morocco. But things do not look as good as we anticipated for Senegal. Hoping that this evening, they can go ahead and put up a good performance against Norway. Those are some of the exciting matches that we have today, and we look forward to obviously Morocco. Morocco also, doing pretty well at this tournament. They will be playing their 3rd match, and it's expected that obviously Morocco can proceed to the round of 32. So those are some of the good games we're looking forward to. They play Haiti tomorrow. They're in a group with Brazil. So Haiti has been, a good side, but not very good, not very excellent. So Morocco can put up a good fight. South Africa will be playing the Republic of Korea too tomorrow. It'll be a tough match. It'll be a very, very tough match. That's on Wednesday. Those games will be on Wednesday. That is when we go now into the 3rd round group matches. So when we go into the 3rd round group matches, teams start packing their bags. They start proceeding to their destinations if they don't make it to the round of 32. So from 48, we reduce to 32, from 32 to 16, 16 to 8, 8 to 4, eventually to 2, and the winner will be announced in July. Will be identified in July of 2026. So wishing all the teams the very best. The Democratic Republic of Congo will be in action against Colombia in Mexico tomorrow. Tomorrow, in Mexico around 9 p.m. That'll be obviously in the morning. In Africa, will be morning Wednesday. So those games will be played. That game will be played on Wednesday. The Democratic Republic of Congo on the African end. On this side, it will be tomorrow at 9 p.m. The Democratic Republic of Congo put up a very good performance against Portugal in the first match, and they drew 1-1. That has given the team a lot of confidence, believing that they can go as far as they can in this competition. We will look forward to that game as well. And the Ghana game against England, it's round about midnight on the African continent. Will be around 4 p.m. on the US East Coast side. So that's another game to look forward to, and indeed, We hope Ghana can go all the way. But having watched the English team, they've got a quality squad. So today I thought we could have a broadcast, a couple of issues that I wanted to discuss. And regarding Zambian football, I've just been talking about Tunisia and Senegal. The Copper Queens are preparing for WAFCON. They're due to go to Algeria for an international camp based on the announcement that was made by the Football Association of Zambia president. So if they are going to go for that tournament, a preparation camp, then we understand they are due in camp right now. The local camp has resumed. Last night, I got word that the players were paid about 300 kwacha for their participation in the Four Nations tournament, which they won. That was not too good news for the team. It is not the best way to motivate the team. If you're going to win a very important tournament such as the WAFCON, you need to motivate the players. I mean, we won the Africa Cup in 2012, not because we were the best team at that tournament. We had Hevrena as coach, we had Carlo Chavalia as vice president. One ingredient that their combination brought to the team was the motivation of the players. When you motivate the players, they bring out the best. Anyone who's motivated brings out the best. But there's a way that people can motivate each other in order to deliver exceptionally well. The sentiments that are coming from the Copper Queens are not encouraging. This is a very important tournament. Zambia is going to go to the WAFCON, or Women's Africa Cup of Nations, to proceed on to the World Cup in Brazil 2027. But we cannot win if we're not motivating the players. I understand the Football Association of Zambia may claim not to have money, may say they don't have money, but we have to deploy initiatives to raise funds and take care of this team. Because this is your investment in football. If you're going to invest in this team, then it will bring you returns. But if you're not going to invest in this team, where are you going to get your returns? I mean, we have to be robust in terms of how we approach some of these issues. We have to go out there and look for the resources. We have to engage stakeholders. The government itself must be engaged, and we must demonstrate the significance of this assignment. If we're going to approach this assignment with a laissez-faire attitude that I'm observing, I'm sorry, I'm afraid we are just going to be participants at the WAFCON. Remember that we are facing 10-time champions in Nigeria. First game, that is our first assignment. We need a good result from that game. We are facing Malawi. Yes, we beat Malawi from time to time, but there's no guarantee we're going to beat them at this competition. We beat Egypt. Is not a very strong team in terms of women's football. There's no guarantee you're going to beat them because all the teams are going to come with a different attitude. So if you go there with a laissez-faire attitude as this one that I'm observing, then we might as well forget sending this team to the World Cup in 2027 because they will have challenges making it to the last four, which automatically gives them a place in the tournament in Brazil. So 300 kwacha for the players, I think. Of course, the Football Association will claim, no, it was for transport refund. Whatever it is, we still have not paid the players for their commitment, for their assignment to qualify to this tournament. Both matches against Namibia, home and away, they won, so they deserve their winning bonus. We must find these resources and make sure that the issues of funds do not occur when they're in camp. That should not be their headache. They should have taken care of the issues because this is the money they've already worked for. And if we can do that in the quickest possible time, make sure that their mentality is focused on the game and on the deliveries, the deliverables, then we will be home and dry in terms of achieving what we want to achieve. That is very key. If it means finding sponsorship, it is now that we need to find sponsorship. We don't want to, see entities, stakeholders come up at the last minute, when the players have achieved, and that's when you want to come up and give pledges. Some of these pledges that do not even successfully, are not successfully fulfilled, or they get lost because the players have won and everyone is excited. So let us ensure that this happens to our girls, the Copper Queens. I hope we're going to motivate them beyond that 300. That was very disturbing, and members of the team are not happy. It's not a good sign. You do not want to go to a tournament in that manner. And today we got, a statement from the Lusaka youth representative, Danny Chima. If you followed some of my discourse here or my postings on my page, you realize that I've been talking about the leadership crisis in Lusaka province. There is a leadership crisis that must be resolved. The provincial executive is not happy with the manner in which Mr. Jordan Maliti, the FAS provincial chairman, is managing the province. Now, there are two schools of thought to these issues here. There is one school of thought that believes Mr. Maliti was an ally of the former president of FAS, and therefore is being persecuted by his executive because they didn't or they don't align to that previous executive. Some schools of thought believe this executive is siding with the current vice president, who wants to remove Mr. Maliti from that position so that he can have his cronies. So Mr. Keith Mwemba wants to remove people or from the executive who don't seem to toe his line. Because of that, there is seemingly a way to sponsor or push a line that the executive, the provincial executive members, that is the vice president, the provincial youth chairman, the Lusaka women's representative, and the committee member. So there are four of them, plus Mr. Maliti, five. The four want to remove Jordan Maliti. However, from what the four have presented, there is seemingly some substance in their argument. They are raising issues of mismanagement. They are raising issues of sexual allegations. They are also raising issues to do with Mr. Maliti's lack of focus on the province, as he had gone into politics and wanted to pursue other avenues in life. And they want to pass a vote of no confidence. But you cannot pass a vote of no confidence in someone if the cases against him have not been established. Why these issues are taking long is everyone's guess. Justice delayed is justice denied. If Mr. Maliti is not subjected to a proper football judicial process, then we are being unfair on him. If we do not hear the concerns of victims such as the Lusaka provincial women's representative, Miss Samantha Mianda, again, we are being unfair on her. And this is the more reason why this matter, these issues should have gone to the FAS Ethics Committee, where an independent ethics committee should investigate, establish the veracity of these investigations. When you establish the veracity of these investigations, you can therefore adjudicate and make a decision based on the facts that would have been brought to the table. Is Mr. Maliti guilty of mischief or not? If he's not guilty of mischief, let him be cleared and let Lusaka province continue operating. If Mr. Maliti is found guilty, he can therefore be put on suspension. He can be removed. And then the Lusaka executive will take the matter to the provincial council the provincial council will effectively decide to either, completely remove and then replace Mr. Maliti with another chairperson. That is the process, and it is important. But you cannot have a first president who doesn't want to act. Nature does not deal with some of these things. These things must be faced head on. It's either cowardice or lack of leadership when issues are at your table and you cannot handle them. The ethics committee, we shouldn't take long to deal with matters when they rise. The ethics committee should receive the matter within 48 hours, study it, some whatever you call tribunal, hear the parties within a week, 7 days, 14 days. Matters should be resolved and people should be focusing on other issues. Because when you prolong an issue, it then becomes toxic. It creates a toxic environment in our football. And that is what we have to avoid. We've been talking about these issues today. Now the fight has gone public. Before then, it was only me. Some people even thought that no, it was just falsehood. But there we are. Mr. Maliti now wants to remove the provincial youth chairperson from his position because he alleges the man has been transferred to another province and therefore cannot serve in that position. The provincial youth chairperson also reacts, now brings out exactly what I have been discussing on the table. So why should this process come up to this far when we can easily resolve it? Where is the first executive? What are you gentlemen doing in those offices? Why? Surely, you mean you can't resolve these issues? You want Lusaka province to be chaotic? You want Lusaka province to be on standstill? You cannot develop football if you're not going to be resolving issues. You resolve the issues and move on to the next stage. And basically, that is what we need to do. I mean, we cannot just sit and be watching like that. There's a problem in Lusaka. You cannot look elsewhere. Let's resolve it. There's a problem. People are fighting. You cannot be walking. You find people are exchanging blows. Blood is spilling over. Then you're just watching. Then you're complicit to what is happening on the streets. You have to learn to step in and stop some of those things. Let's make sure that the issue in Lusaka is resolved in the quickest possible time. I hope the first executive is not, being pedestrian on these issues, particularly the first president, because the first president must be able to call some of these issues to order. You cannot just be watching people and walking like that. What are you doing? Why were you elected in the first place? Why are you a leader? Why haven't you resolved? Why haven't you called the parties to the table? If you want an amicable resolution and you don't want people to fight, why haven't you called the parties to the table to resolve it? Now it's in public domain. It is not only a journalist talking about them. It is the entire, the executive itself now has brought the issue onto the open. Is that what we want? Is that how we're going to be resolving our issue? Certainly not. Okay. So I hope the first president and his executive will definitely, look into that matter and deal with it decisively, so that we move on to the next phase. So away from the issues in Lusaka, there was an announcement the other day about a new organization being formed called Women in Soccer Zambia, and that they had elected their executive. That executive was going to be run by the FAS National Women's Representative, Colonel Priscilla Katova. So in that executive, I did also observe that I think 2 or so of those that were elected or appointed, whatever happened at that meeting, were FAS employees, Madam Annie Namkanga, as well as Madam Bernadette Chola. That I think there should have been a national team manager in that organization. Hazel from Red Arrows, if I'm not mistaken, was also named. I'll have to look at that exco, that grouping. But there must be Hazel who's the national team manager. I questioned the formation of that organization. First of all, Madame Katowa is the national women's representative. So meaning that she's in charge of all women affairs in Zambia. Whenever there are issues to do with women football, she is the authority at the apex of women's football. So I think if you look at that process, let me be with you in a moment. Let me just get my my facts correct so that I can announce the full executive that was named. And I'll be with you in a moment. Just a moment. I know we are rushing to watch.
Where passion meets perspective, and every result is dissected without mercy. From tactical breakdowns to heated debates, from expert insights to unfiltered reactions, this is football conversation at its most exciting and most honest. So when the match ends, don't switch off, tune in. Catch the electrifying, entertaining discourse on Augustine's final whistle, right after the final whistle is blown. Because the game doesn't end, it evolves. So see us on the streets for live reactions, updates, and breaking news. Yes, when the final whistle is blown, everything changes. The winner takes it all. The debate ignites. The blame game begins. And suddenly, the missing drawing board is found. This is where the real game starts. Welcome to Augustine's Final Whistle, your premier YouTube sports show where passion meets perspective and every result is dissected without mercy. From tactical breakdowns to heated debates, from expert insights to unfiltered reactions, this is football conversation at its most exciting and most honest. So when the match ends, don't switch off, tune in. Catch the electrifying, entertaining discourse on Augustine's final whistle, right after the final whistle is blown. Because the game doesn't end, it evolves. So see us on the streets for live reactions, updates, and breaking news.
Thank you very much for holding and staying on the broadcast. Please, if you can, remember to share. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can catch this program anytime when it's recorded and then left to stream. So you can also catch it a little later. But remember that you can always share, follow my Facebook page, as well as subscribe to the YouTube channel. You go and search Augustine Nkoka. You will find Augustine's Final Whistle on our YouTube channel. So I did mention that I was getting to the list, the full list of the women in soccer Zambia. It is an organization that has been formed. The brainchild of this organization is Madame Priscilla Katowa. Colonel Priscilla Katowa. In fact, she's an active duty serving the military. She's also Green Buffaloes. I think she's in charge of sports in the Zambia Army, meaning that she's in charge of women's the women's team, Green Buffaloes, in the Zambia Army. So at the weekend, 20th of June specific, they had a meeting in Vona Valley where they held what they called a successful first extraordinary AGM. At that AGM, they then announced that the executive committee members were ratified. So the first president is Colonel Priscilla Katowa. Then the the first vice president is Madame Utresha Chambeshi. Then the second vice president is Ms. Trina Mwenya. And then you also have committee members in the name of Colonel Zelipa Piri and Madam Hazel Nduwakwenda. Then there's also the General Secretary, who's Agatha Nyambe. The Deputy General Secretary is Madam Anne Namkanga. The Finance Officer is Bernadette Chola. So now, I've known Anne Namkanga from the time she was a player. She was a national team captain for the Shipolo Polo then, before we started calling them the Copper Queens. The privilege to travel with the women's national team to the inaugural COSAFA in 2003, thereabouts, where they finished roundabout third in that competition. Anne Namkanga was team captain. She's a product of Sport. She's like a sister. I always want to declare interest when I'm talking about a person like her, because she's a sister to me. However, this is an issue that has come up from this organization that has been formed. And we have to discuss the serious issues and conflict that this organization has created. The finance officer, Bernadette Chola, is also an employee of FAS. She's an accounts, I don't know her specific position, but she's in accounts at FAS. The president of this organization is Colonel Priscilla Katova, in charge of women's football at FAS, national women's representative. That is where the problem is. When I made the first observation, there was a reaction. They went on to issue a statement in which they pretty much dismissed any wrongdoing. In fact, I understand Madame Katova even went on some WhatsApp group in which she suggested that, questioning that organization and her position in that organization was displaying downness. It's a very laughable, response. But I understand that she may be one of the most intelligent women. But if she applied her intelligence, she would have referred to the first constitution, which clearly distinguishes the conflict that she has engaged in. Before we even go to the first constitution, it's common sense, it's common knowledge that you cannot be in an NGO, a non-government organization, and at the same time be a member of the government that you are advocating against. It doesn't make sense. Let me give you a practical example away from football. Take Madame Beauty Kateve at NGOCC into cabinet to become gender minister. At the same time, she's serving NGOCC. Does that make sense? It won't make sense, because she cannot hold the government accountable when she's part of the same government. How is Madame Katova going to hold FAS accountable using that NGO when she's part of FAS? The things that she's going to be talking about in that NGO are the things that she's supposed to be implementing when she's in FAS. In any case, this is her 6th year as national women's representative. What has she done for women? She claims the organization is going to be advocating for funerals, or she has been helping funerals and stuff. You've been national women's representative. Have you taken to FAS a proposal on how funds that come from FIFA can be distributed into some form of some form of funeral fund for girls' football. We did have the injuries of Hazel Nali and Ochumba. What has been her role in these issues? Have you, as national women's representative, thought about why, for instance, injuries such as ACLs are common among women? Have you initiated any process to organize insurance for the girls as they are assigned to national team? Because this is a topical issue in our league. Now, you want to go and save an NGO while you're saving in FAS. It doesn't make sense. Article 44 of the FAS Constitution is very, very clear. Let me read some of those provisions, because right now, Madam Katova is chairperson of women national teams. Now, as chairperson of women national teams, here is what the Constitution of FAS empowers her to do. Because if we're not going to follow the Constitution, then we must just disband the Constitution. You can just disband and discard it if we're not going to follow the Constitution. This basically what Madam Katova has done is a show of no confidence in the leadership of in her own leadership and that of her president. That he can't manage women's football, so it has to be managed through that organization. You might want to compare it to NOSPA. Let me tell you, when Mrs. Matilda Moawa formed, may her soul rest in peace, when she formed NOSPA, she had left the National Sports Council, where she was board member. She also had left the National Olympics Committee of Zambia, where she was also board member. That is when she went on to form NOSPA. NOSPA became an NGO that advocates for women's rights, women's issues in sports. She never formed that organization when she was a board member because it was going to be a direct conflict. So if Madam Katova wants to run that organization, she cannot run it herself. It is a good idea to advocate for women issues in football, but Ms. Katova must run that organization only when she's out of FAS. You cannot save both FAS and an NGO at the same time. Serious conflict of interest there. Even in the financial world, the positions that you have given to Namkanga and as well as Chola, in the financial world, that is considered insider trading. Why? Because those are employees of FAS. They will have first-hand information about activities in FAS, including yourself. When you discuss issues in the executive committee meeting, you will have first-hand information about issues in FAS. So if there are other organizations that advocate for women issues in sport, your organization that you're running will have the advantage because they would have that information before that information is made public. And that is what raises issues of conflict of interest. That is how an intelligent person thinks. That is how an intelligent person acts. Rather, a dull person would form an organization that would want to take advantage of their position. And that's what you're doing. I want to read the FAS Constitution, Article 44J, just in case we haven't seen it. It's a very brief provision. And I think it's important that we look at it carefully. So Article 44.7, the Women's Committee is a subcommittee of the Football Development Committee. The Football Development Committee is chaired by Patrick Nyirenda. Patrick Nyirenda is the chairperson for Eastern Province. So Madam Katova reports to this committee, and she also sits on the National Team's Technical Committee. Look at the conflict. So the duties of the Women's Football Subcommittee shall be to deal with all matters related to women's football. All matters related to women's football will be dealt by a subcommittee chaired by Madam Kato, who will be running an organization, an NGO that deals with issues affecting women in Zambian football. The Women's Subcommittee is responsible for formulating women's football development programs, including the formation of women football leagues. It is also responsible for the management of all women national teams, in conjunction with football development and the General Secretariat. It would also propose to the Executive Committee any measures necessary to promote the development of women's football. It will also advise and assist the Executive Committee to establish relevant competitions of women's football. It will conduct research on factors influencing the development of women's football and prepare the annual budget of the committee and submit it to the General Secretary. These are the duties of the Women's Committee. What have you done as national women's representative to fulfill these duties? Then you go and form an NGO to advocate for women's issues. When you have the responsibility and the duty to do what you're going to be advocating, it doesn't make sense. And I hope you resign immediately from that position. Otherwise, you should leave FAS. Alternatively, if the previous FAS president did not give you an opportunity to exercise your duties, and this FAS president does not give you an opportunity to exercise your duties, resign from FAS, become the FAS president, then run FAS and ensure that you are going to give the national women's representative enough room to conduct these duties and then implement them rather than do them through an NGO. But if you think that is not enough, your passion is running an NGO, then quit FAS, run the NGO, and ensure that FAS implements your advocacy from the NGO. You cannot do both. It doesn't work like that. This is serious conflict of interest, Madam Katova. And you see, there have been a lot of complaints about your conflict of interest, but this is what happens. When people don't talk about these issues, they keep quiet, they murmur in the offices. A few of us talk about them, you call us names, okay? It becomes normal. We normalize wrong things. Here's another wrong thing that has been happening. It almost created a crisis in deciding the champion for the women's league, the season that has ended. At Green Buffaloes or at the Zambia Army, you are saving the sports structure there. Therefore, you're in charge of Green Buffaloes. There was an issue where Green Buffaloes used an ineligible player and they were docked points. That issue was appealed, and chances are that if Zesco and Dollar Girls didn't win their final match against, I've forgotten who they played. If they didn't win their final match, I think they played Kamfinsa. If they didn't defeat Kamfinsa in the final match, Buffaloes would have an opportunity to win the league through the boardroom. This is why allegations are that Zesco could not be crowned champions, could not be given medals, because Buffaloes was hoping they would lose that game. And when they lose that game, they would go to the boardroom appeals committee and win, an appeals committee decision of use of an eligible player, become champions. And they were saying that was being influenced. The allegation was that it was being influenced by yourself because you were in FAS. So it is clear that even your position, there are also complaints about the dominance of Green Buffaloes officials at the national team. Because of your position in the Zambia Army, you have brought in a lot of those people who work for Green Buffaloes to become a part of the national team. People have been wondering why Indeni Roses, it's only recent that there's been Indeni Roses technical staff roped into the national team. There's also been Zescondola girls staff roped into the national team. But it has been, there have been allegations that look, you've personalized the national team to look like it's a Green Buffaloes B. And there is a clear conflict of interest there. Your position at Green Buffaloes, as well as your position at FAS. But no one has been talking about, people are just murmuring in the dark corners. You can even tell that people are not happy with that position. And you expect that people will make a decision, people will advise you. But it seems that no one did. And I thought these issues should be brought to the fore. And this is now because you've seen it as normal operating in that way, both at Green Buffaloes, the national team, and FAS. You now want to create an NGO to become an advocate of issues you're supposed to be implementing. It doesn't make sense. You have to admit that even in your intelligence, this is this you can't do. There's a direct conflict of interest. Now, it's in fact unethical for you to do it, because if you now go and look at the FIFA statutes and start analyzing them, it becomes a problem. It becomes an ethical conduct on your part. You're only human. You're only human, and the chances are that you use information from FAS to the advantage of your NGO. And that is not what you're supposed to be doing when you're saving FAS. Your concentration should be on delivering FAS. I asked a question earlier on, what have you done from the time you became a women's representative? Currently, women teams only have 4 votes at the FAS Council. Have you ever made a proposal to increase the voice of women on the FAS Council? The only one, I think the last time I learned, was Oliver Shalala, the owner of Elite Ladies, who made the proposal. The men have got more interest in developing women football. Of course, some of them have got ulterior motives. I've got more interest in developing women's football than you yourselves, the women. What have you done about guarding the girl child? I've never heard your voice on the issues of sexual allegations, the abuse of the girls in women's football. You know these things exist. What have you done as a representative for women to safeguard these girls? When we were insulting, when we raised these issues, what did you say? And now you want to go behind and form an NGO to advocate the same things you cannot work on in FAS. Because to me, you have failed in FAS, and now you want to use an NGO to think that you're going to do what you're failing to do in FAS. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. In that organization you formed, where are the provincial women's representatives? Those are your satellite dishes in the provinces. You who's responsible for women's football, you're not working with the provincial women. How can you form an NGO that does not even, in fact, they cannot even be there because they themselves already have an avenue to deliver through FAS. So, madam, what you have done is totally wrong. It's conflict of interest, and you must drop that project. My advice to you is it's a good idea. You need it in Zambian football. You can use soccer if you want, but football is the official name. You can make it anything you want, whatever it is. However, you yourself cannot be a party to it for as long as you are in FAS. You either have to choose to be in FAS. Anyone in FAS cannot work in that NGO. Anyone working for FAS can't work in that NGO. So let's make sure that we do the right thing. We follow the FAS constitution. We adhere to the rules of the game. If there were no rules in football, football would not end after 90 minutes. This is why we strictly, continuously refer to the FAS constitution and the governing rules of the game. I hope it's not. I hope you can review, you can introspect. It's not about who is intelligent. It's not about who's dull. It's about doing the right thing. If you're doing the right thing, then you're delivering on Zambian football. It was very key for us to discuss. There's so many issues we can delve in on women's football, but it was important that this indirect vote of no confidence you have shown in your own executive be addressed. If it's a vote of no, raise a vote of no confidence, take it to the First Council. If you have failed to run Zambian women football, go and tell the First Council why you have failed to run Zambian women football, and then propose the changes. Let the council make those changes, not using an NGO to go and advocate. If you think football needs such an NGO, help facilitate others to run the NGO, not yourself, while you're saving funds. If you think that is your passion, move away from funds, go and run the NGO, keep us, advocate those issues, keep us on their thoughts. Those are the options that are available. Otherwise, if this status continues, then we will pick it up. Those of us who want things to be managed in a certain way, will pick it up. We'll raise an issue with the council. The First Council will now have to deal with it. The First Council will remove you from your office. We can raise that issue. If you want us to raise that issue, we are happy to raise that issue. Make a submission. They will help. They'll help remove you from office so that you can concentrate on the NGO. I hope that is very clear. We are almost a minute or two away from the game against Argentina. That is what we're going to be watching. And thank you very much once more for watching Augustine's Final Whistle. We are always glad to have you here. Until next time, it's shalom, shalom.
Changes. The winner takes it all. The debate ignites. The blame game begins. And suddenly, the missing drawing board is found. This is where the real game starts. Welcome to Augustine's Final Whistle, your premier YouTube sports show where passion meets perspective and every result is dissected without mercy. From tactical breakdowns to heated debates, from expert insights to unfiltered reactions, this is football conversation at its most exciting and most honest. So when the match ends, don't switch off, tune in. Catch the electrifying, entertaining discourse on Augustine's Final Whistle right after the final whistle is blown. Because the game doesn't end, it evolves. So see us on the streets for live reactions, updates and breaking news. Yes, when the final whistle is blown, everything changes. The winner takes it all. The debate ignites. The blame game begins. And suddenly, the missing drawing board is found. This is where the real game starts. Welcome to Augustine's Final Whistle.